back to the Bad Influence Racing Channel. Today we're driving down to East Bethel, Minnesota. I'm heading down here to go see Travis Knowlton at KTRE, Knowlton Thunderheads and Racing Engines. He has said that he's going to be down here working today, and we're bringing our Hemi heads down here. Have him go through them. He's going to put in new valve springs, and we're going to put new retainers and keepers on. Have him take a look, make sure that, you know, before we got the heads, everything was right. We want to make sure that everything is 100% ready to go. So we're going to go down here. We'll talk with him and see what he says just on, you know, first glance at the heads, and then we're going to go back and work on the bottom end of the engine. So let's get to it. We got some driving to do. We're back down here at KTRE, and Travis Knowlton has our heads here. That's Travis. Say hi, Travis.
Hey.
And he was taking a look at our heads, and, well, Travis, what do you think of the heads here? Obviously, we do need some work to it and a freshen, but what do you think we got going on here, and what do you think we need to take care of?
It's pretty much just a straightforward Benny Hemi head, so I mean, it looks like it's in pretty good shape for the most part. We got a couple small details here with the O-ring. Got some stuff going on there, so we're gonna have to get that out of there and get that replaced. Got a couple helicoils that got to be replaced, but other than that, it's just going to mostly be just checking them out and making sure they're good, and put some new valve springs and retainers on it. Should be good to go. Cool.
Well, hey, we appreciate you getting us in. We know that you're a bit busy and things like that, and you always do good work for us, so we continue to come back, and we love what you do down here.
Well, thanks, Greg. Appreciate that.
Alright guys, so we are back in the shop after dropping off the heads and seeing Travis Knowlton there, and as you can see behind me here, I've got a bare block. It's all cleaned up and awaiting for reassembly. All of our rings, bearings, everything came in. You know, we have rear main seal, rod bearings, main bearings, rings from Total Seal. All of that showed up. The crankshaft got polished by a place local here in town. They did a great job polishing the crankshaft, so that's good to go. What we're going to work on next is assembling the short block, and first thing we have to do is take all the pistons off, and we're going to put on new MGP rods. So we're going to put these on the old pistons. We got to clean up the pistons, take all the rings off, do all of that stuff on there, and I wanted to show you on something for like a Hemi or a higher horsepower deal how some of these come apart on there. They are kind of neat. So I've already started. I got one off already, and I've started on this one here. So we've got a deal we're going to set it on. I'm going to get oil all over my toolbox. I'm going to get some on there. So on here we have our second ring is already off, and top ring. I'm going to show you when we put the new rings on, both those rings. They are kind of a special ring for this. This is, a lot of people have seen stuff like this on here, so I mean it might be kind of basic. So we're going to take the oil ring apart, which is actually, the oil ring has 3 pieces on there. So we get those off, but now this does not have clips or press fit. This has buttons. So if you see here, we'll push it up. That is the button right there that holds the wrist pin in place. It's that simple for these. So That's why you see on some bigger horsepower stuff, it's very simple to change rods and pistons out, because they don't need all the special tools. I mean, I just literally did everything with my hands. Very, very simple. But we're going to take all of these apart on there, get everything off. We're going to clean up the bottom of it, get the new rods on, the MGPs, which are a bigger, beefier rod. They're going to handle a little bit more power and be overall a better setup. So let's go ahead, get all these apart. Alright, so you saw on that last piston, which was perfect on there, I set these aside. You saw at the beginning I was using my ring pliers to space it out and then slip it over or off like that. And then I realized, hey, I'm not reusing these rings. I can do it by the same way I always do it. Well, the problem that there is these rings are very thin. Okay, the top ring is an 031 dike ring on there. I'll explain what a dike ring is in a sec. And the bottom is an 042 or an 043 standard second ring on there, a Napier ring on there. So what happened, I was trying to, where a lot of guys will take and they'll lift it up and spin it around to come off of there. Well, these rings, since they're so thin, the thing broke right in half. So that's why we try to use that. But since we're not using these rings again, I'm fine. But when we put our new rings on, that's why we have this here. I've actually worn one of these out. This is a brand new one. So we want to make sure that we're getting everything in there correctly, because that's like a clean break. Also, what'll happen, that groove around the piston is nice and flat. It's been machined. Now when you spin it, you can see here, see how it's been bent on there. So you would have to take and sit here and do this, you know, and try to get it back in and find where it's warped, and then now it might stick inside there. So that's why we use these. And I know there's gonna be a bunch of people, oh, I've put them together like that many times. You know what? So have I. You know, but until you break a ring or you start having one that sticks because you've spun it and it's cocked in there like that, we're trying to eliminate that. You know, okay, so you've done 100 engines and you had one of them stick on there. Well, if you had used this the whole time, you'd have none. All right, maybe you've done 1,000 of them and you've had one stick. Well, you know what? You have really good percentages there, but using that would have made you 1,000 for thousands. So it's a simple little deal there, but that was perfect that it broke right there to show you guys that. So now we got the old rods, we got the old rings. We're gonna start cleaning the pistons, and then we'll get the rods on there. So I cleaned the pistons up off camera. Took a little bit there to get everything nice and cleaned up, but we've got them there. This is gonna be piston number 7. We're gonna go ahead and get the pistons mounted on. To do that for this setup, we are going to obviously have a rod, pin, buttons. We're gonna go ahead and get this put together. First thing we have to do, so we have an intake side, which is gonna be our bigger side here, and an exhaust side. This is number 7, so it's gonna be on the driver's side on there. And this here, we have a bevel. So let's go get up real close. So you see the bevel that it has here, and it doesn't have one here. All right. So this is going to go against the crankshaft. That's where the radius of the crankshaft is. We know the exhaust is there. Boom, boom. It would go in just like that. Wow, pretty easy, huh? Then we'll put the buttons in, and then the rings around it on there. We do need to put a little bit of oil or assembly lube on that. I'm going to use an assembly lube. So we're going to tear this back apart, and we're going to knock all 8 of these out. we're going to show you what some of this is on here. So this is a Dykes ring on here. Now let's see if we can get this nice and close. You see how there's a lip here? Excuse my nail there, but there's a lip. There we go. You see that there? That is a Dykes ring on there. And what that does is boost comes down past the piston, hits this ledge, and pushes it out into the cylinder wall. It's a very nice ring because the more boost you make, the harder it's going to push out on there. But the issue with that is you can wear down cylinders faster if you don't have all of your ducks in a row. So that is a very important thing to watch out for. All right, so I went ahead and file fit the rings. It's a tedious and boring process, so it was anything that I really wanted to film on there. So we got the rings all file fit. Now we're going to flip this over. We're gonna need a crankshaft in here, bearings, everything like that, so that way we can put the pistons in. Then we're gonna have a short block that's gonna be, ready for the next step. With the crank in and torqued up, now we're going to put the pistons in. We'll torque those up and be done. We will have a 528 cubic inch Hemi short block. And then we are obviously going to be still waiting for the heads from Travis, but we know that he'll have those done fairly quick. So we're going to go ahead and get the rings on there. When I file fit rings, because I do all the engines here, I leave the rings in here. So there's the bottom ring, and then the top ring is right here. I do the top ring and then the bottom ring for a reason, so I can come to here, I can pull this ring out when I'm putting this piston in, I can put it on the piston, pull this ring out, then that one goes on top right there. I do that, and then that one goes right in there. So that way there's no way they get mixed up on there. Also, all of the pistons are numbered as well. And that's where we ended for now. We had to stop in the middle because we ran into a big issue. I'm going to go ahead and show you this issue, and we'll see what we're going to do to fix it. So, when we turn this over, it comes up and hits. This rod here, which is number 4, I have to double check on there. Number 4 rod is hitting. Now, if you remember, I believe it was 2 or 3 videos ago, we were talking about having a windowed block and what exactly a windowed block is. Well, this is exactly what happened on here. The windowed block, where it was repaired right here, is actually thicker, and it is hitting the new metal there, or the new material. So what that means is we have to take the entire engine all the way apart, pull all the rods out, pull the crank out, pull all the bearings out. We're going to have to see how much we have to grind here, possibly put it in the mill and mill away, otherwise we can do it by hand. But we will have to mill all of that or grind all of that away to get clearance for the rods. Now, why did this happen? Well, an MGP rod is bigger and beefier than an R&R rod. That's why we use them. So, it's an issue. I've run into this once before using an MGP rod, and it is what it is. There's not much I can do there. We're just going to have to, I assumed this block was going to be big enough because it's a bigger stroke deal there. So we're going to go ahead and grind all that down and get everything fixed. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you can see what we're going to do to fix that. And everybody, be safe out there.